thanks for doing this little tour for us, Jason. If you want to just kick the tour off with a little bit about yourself and your journey in the hobby so far.
Yeah, I mean, I this all started in, I guess, January of 2020. Over that winter, my oldest son had set up a 20-gallon. He lives in my basement, and he had been messing with it, and kind of got my wife on board to set up a tank in our living room, and that tank was cursed. It was a 46-gallon bow front that was used. It had a turtle in it at one point in time, from what I understand. And I don't know if that had something to do with it, but we could never really get that tank to run correctly. Of course, all of this is on like a shoestring budget anyway. There's no money in, if you can do it on the cheap, I'm doing it. All hang on the back stuff, no controls of any sort. So that tank was up for a little while. In the meantime, I bought this tank used, I think off a marketplace. My wife kind of got sick of the 46 in the living room because it was always like a mess. So I set this tank up in, I guess, I can't remember if it was later in 2020 or if it was in, I think it was in 21. I think it was the beginning of 21. This is a 26 bow front, which I hate the bow front, but it is what it is, what I got. And I took the other tank down. I moved all of the stuff that I could keep alive into this tank. And yeah, there's, like I said, there's like no money into it. This tank crashed last year, at the beginning of this year, killed everything except for the Pallies and the Zoas and a rock flower. I don't know how the rock flower survived, but it did.
What happened, Jason? What caused the crash?
Okay, well, you see the pump intake tube in like, center, but to a little bit to the right. Behind that, there's a temperature probe. At that time, that temperature probe was in that pump. Power went out. I forgot about it, that pump didn't restart. And I just said, oh, unplug it. It's no big deal. Well, when I got home from work, the tank was at like 93, 94 degrees. Everything was dead or on its way out. The corals were still alive for the most part, but all the fish were stuck to the power heads. And you could feel when I opened the door, because this is I'm in like what would be a bedroom. So the door was closed. When I opened the door, you could just feel the heat rolling off the tank. It was and the smell of death. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, I've been there and I know exactly what you're describing. You just walk in the room and you go,
Oh fuck.
I know what's happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. It's horrible.
Yeah. So and I considered actually, like, I thought for a minute, I'm like, I'm just gonna take it down and be done with this for the time being. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. So here we are. I got some fish back in it after a couple of months, and there's the mushrooms on the left hand side on the bottom. When that all happened, there was a piece of mushroom that was maybe, oh, I don't know, the size of like the diameter of a pencil lead, and you could just see this little green speck sitting on the rock. And I thought, well, that stuff's all gonna die. But those mushrooms came back out of that one little tiny speck of green. So I thought that was pretty cool. Pretty cool how resilient some of that stuff is. And the zoas were never affected at all. They didn't even look pissed off. They were just whatever, no big deal. So, oh shit.
So tell me, where is that temperature probe now that was in that pump?
It is stuck behind that intake tube. It's stuck behind it with a suction cup, and it's like wedged in there so that it's actually in the tank now. I won't ever make that mistake again.
Glad to hear it.
But I mean, other than that, this is the most basic tank. You know, everybody talks about, basic tanks. This, you can do this one for cheap. This is the epitome of doing it cheap. There is 2 hang on the back filters, a heater, a couple of power heads. That's it. There's nothing else. There's no controllers. There isn't even a Wi-Fi power strip on this. It's I've got a regular power strip on it. If I want something to turn off, I have to unplug it. So the only thing that I do have that is I mean, I have an ATO on there, but that's it. And I went for like 2 years without having an ATO. I just manually topped up every day. I do I dose all for reef by hand with a syringe. Um, and that's pretty much it. Um, let's see. As for livestock, those the big massive green and orange zoas, those were one of the first corals that went into the 46 gallon. There's actually a like 2-inch frag plug under there, kind of in the center of that rock. They didn't want to grow in this tank when I put them in there, and I thought, well, I'm going to throw them up here on the top of the rock and see if they like more light. And they just took off from there. The purple zoas were just some random crap that I bought. I've had zoas pretty much since day one. That's kind of the thing. Like I can always keep those alive. I've killed a lot of stuff, so
Hey, we all
um
have. We all have. We are talking
well,
about stuff in fish tanks, though, yeah?
I mean, it's there was a lot of ignorance on my part at the beginning. So because I didn't really want to be in this hobby. It's not like I set my mind to be in this hobby. I became here by default and fell in love with it. So it's I didn't come. I mean, I had freshwater tanks before, over the years, but like I had always thought that you couldn't do saltwater on a limited budget. So I just always shied away from it. But since my son got into it a little bit, and then here I am.
I don't mean to sidetrack your tour, but can I just ask, did you find freshwater just a complete and utter piece of piss? See, for me, I have never ever succeeded at keeping a freshwater tank.
Here's the thing. For me, I'm lazy. I'm lazy. I'm really lazy about things. So the saltwater stuff, I have to every day, put a conscious effort into. If I'm not doing maintenance or this or that, but like I have to every day, I have to look at it and say, hey, is everything looking good? Has anything changed? What's the temperature look like? Whereas freshwater is a whole lot less involved most of the time. You can let that stuff go, other than feeding and a water change here and there, depending on what you got going on. You can let that stuff go for a long time if you're so inclined. And that's not good for me. I have to have something that I have to go, okay, I have to do this. Otherwise, I'll just neglect it completely.
That's
So
interesting. So you've got into a stupid fucking hobby to motivate you into doing something, even though ideally for you, probably freshwater would be perfect.
yeah, but like I will neglect stuff with freshwater to the point where I will kill stuff. I have done it. I know me. There's a fine line there. Like I have to find that balance for me between it being too much and not enough. Because if it's not enough, I'm like, whatever. And plus, I mean, freshwater is like, think about how many freshwater tanks there are compared to reef tanks. I mean, if you like really were to break it down like across the board, and you could get numbers on, in my town, there's 7,000 people here. There's probably what 500 freshwater tanks. and I'm probably the only reef tanks in my town, might be the two that are in my house. So it's something different, and the fish are cooler, and everything's cooler, I think. But it is more work.
Yeah, I think half of my issue with freshwater is that I never wanted freshwater. All of my friends all told me you can't get a reef tank without having a tropical tank before, and I was like, no, I can just no. You can't do that. That's absolute madness. So I get
Well,
forced into having a fucking tropical tank, and I hated it. I fucking hated it. It was boring. The fish were shit. I couldn't stand the scape and the plastic plants and the shitty gravel. Yeah, it was destined to be a disaster.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, there is some horrible products made for freshwater tanks. I mean, there's some horrible ones made for reef tanks as well, but there are some people do some horrible things in freshwater tanks. I mean, like, it's bad news.
It probably is because it's that beginner force coming out and just doing whatever they want, putting like
I
tanked,
mean,
weird things on
don't
a
get me
tank.
wrong, that 46 gallon that was in my living room, it had some Star Wars decorations in it when it initially went up. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's pretty embarrassing, but that's the
No
reality.
way. Dude, I love hiding a small knickknack for the kids in the store when they walk in and like, what's that? It's just a
Yeah.
weird toy underneath a coral.
Oh, I'm a big Star Wars
My
nerd,
kid
so
wanted a castle in the tank.
Oh,
what's
what?
that?
I don't know who that was, but if you take the penis out your mouth and try again, we might be able to hear you.
Or add another one.
Yeah.
Sorry, put something over it. But no, my kids wanted a castle in the tank, so I put one in there for them.
Oh, cool.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do. you know. No, my wife and oldest son, they thought that they saw the Star Wars stuff in the store, so they bought it and put it in the tank, and it was actually pretty cool for a minute. Except I had a fish that would hide behind the Millennium Falcon, and a crab that would be holed up in the AT-AT and wouldn't come out, and then a fish died in the AT-AT, and that was a hot mess.
Ooh,
So
dang.
What a
yeah,
weird fucking conversation.
It would
Don't
be
put a little
cool to
friend in now?
encrust something over that though. Something Star Wars. Big rainbow Monteporo, something neat, encrust it over. Look like it
yeah. Well,
crashed a million years
that's kind
ago.
of what I thought. If I could have got that to all work, it would have been cool. I just couldn't get there.
Who
It
plays
was
church today?
it was too early for me. I didn't know what I was doing.
You
I
didn't have
had
enough
zero clue.
freshwater tanks yet.
Hmm? No.
That's a cool setup though, dude, for as simple as it is. Two hang on the backs and
Yeah, I mean we'll do the whole, like, kind of walk you through. Let's see here. So,
oh,
this
and you
is a
have the good hang
C-chem.
on the back.
Yeah, I mean, it's a C-chem. This is like just doing filtration. It's got some I think actually it doesn't have sponge in it right now. It's got filter floss on the bottom of it, and like it's got some carbon and GFO in it. Then this one is set up as a refugium,
Oh, neat.
which I just harvested last night because it was like the Kato is actually pushing the lid up off the top. So
I
yeah,
really like those titles. They have the surface skimmer, and I think that's so great to have.
yeah, it works good, except they're a pain in the ass to clean.
Oh, you
That's the
cleaned
only
it?
problem.
I didn't know you cleaned yours.
What? Yeah, sometimes.
I'm just
Well,
kidding.
once in a while. But yeah, other than that, like, power strip, that's it. Like, that's the whole deal right there. Just power strip.
Nice.
That everything's just running off of that.
That's a proper power strip. That thing's beefy.
Yeah, yeah. I stole it from work.
It's beefy with
Actually,
it plugged in.
I didn't steal it from work. I brought it home. I retrieved it from the trash can after they cut the plug off of it, and brought it home then. So
Whole other story.
yeah, that's a whole other thing there.
Does your cat by any chance eat Jello?
Do you have
So
any
there's
idea what the par values are in your tank? I'm curious.
I
I know you
was
have that
gonna
thing
take par
cranked.
reading. I was gonna take par readings yesterday, and I didn't. I have taken them. I just can't remember. I think I'm getting about 250 where the sticks are, maybe 275 where the sticks are. And then up from there, I guess probably 350 probably at least up we're at the top of the Zoas, which I thought was going to be way too much for the Zoas, but they really don't give a fuck. So, and then I'm hitting in the front corners at the sand bed. I'm getting about 75 to 80, I believe. I could use a little bit more spread, even, that light does pretty good on there, but like, I don't have anything in the corners really anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
You
But I
can
mean,
put a lot in 70.
that light's pretty much screaming. I think the blues are at like 95 right now, and the whites are at like 30. So, I mean, it's giving a lot, especially on the blue channel. The blue channel is ripping. I mean, compared to like,
It
I
looks
think Jim
bright
runs his
on-
much lower than I do, but he's got a lot more lights though too, so he's getting a lot of overlap where I'm not.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, the tank's actually doing pretty good right now. I haven't really had any issues with it lately. It's been running along pretty good. Everything stays kind of in check. I haven't really had to do anything to it. I'm doing 5 gallons a week water changes, and that's about it.
You just
Forgot what
mixing
salt
your
you
water
use.
in a bucket and then just draining some out and throwing it back in?
What's that?
Are you just draining a bucket of water out and then just throwing a bucket back in?
Yeah, right now that's how I've been doing it actually. When I do bigger ones, the bathroom is right across the hall from where I'm at. So if I'm going to do a bigger water change, I just drop a P up in the tank and run an RO line over into the sink, and I can drain as much water as I want, and I don't have to do anything. I do have to carry buckets to get salt water back in here though, because my mixing station's on the other end of the house. Which is just a couple of trash cans in a bathroom. So
It's good you've got the draining sorted out though. If you had to do that both ways, which is what I used to have to do at home, it does fucking burst you after a while.
I used to do it. I did carry buckets both ways for a long time. And that was one of the things when we took the 46 down that was like made it. I was carrying buckets at that time. So then I was doing 2 water changes on 2 tanks every week. And it was a bit overwhelming. It was just too much with having kids and this and that. Like it's just a lot. So now the plan is I'm going to go back to 2 tanks, but I'm going to have them use they're going to share a sump. So I'll effectively only have to do still only do 1 water change. It'll just be a bigger water change.
Sumps for the
But
win.
in that respect, it'll be easier because it'll only be 1 water change.
So the way we were talking here sounds like we're talking about sexual preference. Does anyone else here carry buckets both ways?
I do have to once in a while to get mine. I have a little setup in my living room recently. I have to do a 5-gallon bucket every other week, but it's not too bad.
What the fuck?
If it's only 1 bucket, it's not horrible. Like that's the other thing I've learned. Like I don't mind. Like right now, like I said, I've been doing the 5-gallon changes a week. So usually I will just drain that into a bucket and just carry it out and dump it in the yard. And that is not a big deal. But if you got to carry like 4 buckets each way, that shit's miserable.
Sucks.
Yeah. And then you just don't want to do it. You're like, yeah, I don't want to do this. Fuck that. I'll just wait until next week and do a water change. Then I'll wait till next week, and that's where you end up. So
that's what I was doing. I was doing 4 25-liter drums in, and 4 25-litre drums out.
Right.
Just burst you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not getting any younger, you know? I mean, my back hurts every day as it is. Like carrying all them buckets, like that ain't it. And I don't have the luxury of being able to wheel a trash can, like, you know, from where my mixing station is. There's stairs in between. There's like 3 steps in between. So like you can't just wheel a
Damn.
trash can here. So
You just have to be really strong.
yeah, fuck that.
Such
How,
a stupid fucking hobby.
Where are you located?
Maryland.
Maryland.
Yeah,
I have
like
dude,
Central
I have a
Maryland.
sump you could totally have. It's one of those like sapphire, whatever ones.
I've got the new
Oh,
sumps over
you're
here.
ready to go.
Yeah. Dude, I'm still in a holding pattern because my truck is broken.
Oh, that's priority.
So I have everything here to set up the next tank, except for the lumber to build the stand. That's the only thing I don't have. So without having
What?
the truck to haul the lumber, I've been in a holding pattern.
You could
But
fell
yeah,
a tree in the backyard.
I mean, I got another tank. My new tank is in the garage waiting to be drilled. I've got sand, I've got a return pump, I've got wave makers, a skimmer, like everything to set up the new tank is basically here. Like it's all just kind of there's shit everywhere. Like I got shit everywhere. See, oh, this is all fish tank shit. Like
We're all in the same position. There's nobody here that doesn't have piles of shit.
yeah, I got shit everywhere. Like there's fish tank shit from one end of my house to the other end of my house. To be honest with you, like you find random stuff everywhere.
So when the time is right to start, Jason, do you think it'll be quite a quick turnaround then? Do you think the new systems will be up and running quite quickly?
Well, all right, so the plan is, okay, I'll back up here. Where those shoes are, that rack of shoes is going to move. The stand is going to go from the wall to the closet. So the stand's going to be 6 foot long. That's pretty much 6 foot, 2 foot wide. So what's the plan is I want to get the tank up and running and let it cycle. And then I'm going to move everything, all the livestock out of this tank into that tank, take this tank down, take it completely apart, reseal it, drill it, and then bring it back online. This is going to end up being a LPS tank. And then the new tank is going to be basically an SPS dominant tank. That's the plan. We'll see how that goes. That's the plan. But this tank's going to move back into the corner. So this tank will actually move back there, and the new tank will be basically where this one is. Just finish. I have to what type of hang the lights. I have some ideas, but I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with that yet. I won't be using this ridiculous shelf to hang the light off of anymore. That's what I can tell you.
Hey,
It works though.
it's doing the job.
Hey, well, it was, quick and easy, and I needed a place to set some shit too, because that's all testing stuff and food and all of that nonsense up there on top. So, I mean, it serves its purpose, but it's not very attractive.
Hey, Jason, do you know what you're going to do for water changes with the new system?
Well, yes, I'm going to carry buckets, at least one direction.
No,
that's
no.
That's the reality. I don't have any other way. I don't have any way around it right now.
No.
At some point in time, mixing station to move to the basement.
Y'all don't
And
have
then
a
when that
giant
happens-
space man or some gym.
I mean,
I know.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
know.
I don't-
The only thing I'm thinking is that when I made mine, I had a tank like what you have right there, but it was a long 55, and if it wasn't easy, I didn't do it, like you were talking about earlier. And
yeah, but it won't be
and
that
when
big of a deal because I'm only going to go to a slightly larger water change every week. I mean, how many gallons a week are you changing, Jim?
20 gallons.
What kind of math?
Yeah, but and how many gallons of tank do you have?
250.
Right. I'm still only gonna be at like 75 gallons.
Yeah.
So I'm still not carrying a whole lot. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Have you thought about auto water change and just running some small 1/4-inch tubes?
oh, well, like I said, at some point in time, the mixing station is going to go to the basement.
Yeah.
At some point in time, when my older children move out, it's going to move to the basement, and then auto water change for sure, no doubt about it, because I will be able to put the mixing station will basically be directly where this room is, and that's where the water comes into the house. So it's perfect. But I can't do that right now. So for the time being, I will carry a couple of buckets a week. And I mean, it is what it is.
I'm not sure I would still be in the hobby, to be honest, if it wasn't for automatic water changes. I don't think.
Yeah, but not
as
not
many
all
as
of us like have all you know, all the money to spend on all these doodads and all this nonsense. I don't have the money to spend on all this bullshit like you guys do.
What kind of math did you do?
No fucking dumbass math, that apparently.
Yeah, I would. I don't spend
What's
a
that
lot of
even,
money.
Jim?
I don't spend a lot of money. I'm like you. Like I've got more of what you've got. Like I've got Jabo. Like my dosers are all Jabo. I've thought about, even though I made my system designed around water changes and easy water changes right there, I've still, after watching Ron and everybody else, I've thought about taking one of my Jabos and turning it into an auto water change. And that's, 150 bucks all said and done.
That's absolutely the goal at some point in time.
Yeah.
And when at some point in time, that is that's like that's where we're trying to get to. But I'm just not there yet. So I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah,
for
my
the time
problem.
being. I mean, and I also I'm not naive to think that this tank and the new tank, when they go online, that these are going to be the last tanks. So I mean, they may be the last tanks in this particular spot in my house, but I don't believe that these are the last tanks that I will have, because at some point in time I want to go something larger.
Yeah.
And I could have went with something big, as opposed to the 44 that I bought and trying to run 2 tanks at once. I could have went with one big tank. But I just don't feel like I'm quite there yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know what
I want to try it as a split system first.
Yeah, that'll be cool though.
Who's talking crazy saying any tank they've got is their last tank?
Some people say that.
Liars. Liars.
Who the fuck?
I mean, okay, like
Red Sea
well,
owners.
think about it like this. Think about it like.
Son
I mean,
of a
if you're
bitch.
somebody like if you're somebody like Alex, who's building a 4,200 gallon tank in his basement,
Yeah,
might be the last tank.
That makes sense.
I mean, and for most people, to be honest here, most people put a 400 or a 500 gallon in their house. That's like the dream. Like you made it. Like that's it. But I've also come to realize that I like the ease of a smaller tank. There are things that are easier about a small. Like if my shit gets out of whack, I do a 50-80% water change like in an hour and a half. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't do that with something huge. So there is something to be said for smaller tanks, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think even people who get huge tanks and huge systems, if they do it right, eventually that tank turns into somewhat of an autopilot and they get a smaller tank.
Yeah.
It's just, because you get bored.
Yep. Well, that's it. Like I said at the beginning, I have to have something to do. If this becomes completely autopilot, I'm going to get bored, and then that's when bad things will happen.
That's
Like I have to have some me occupied.
You could start obsessively testing water. Wink, wink.
No.
That's something to
Mm-mm.
do.
That's a
Dave,
native
Dave's
Ghost Rider.
fucking testing right now.
I did. That's why I was
Okay.
I
like,
bet you.
I can hear him. He's testing. You can't hide it.
I haven't
Can't hide
tested
it,
a
Dave.
damn thing this week.
I did. I tested.
Oh, wait, that's not true. I tested calcium earlier this week. I went for like a year and a half without testing calcium. I've been testing it like once every week and a half. So thanks, Dave.
Yeah,
This
buddy.
is your fault.
Do you want to talk us through your hardware there, Jason?
I mean, okay. Well,
You got a really clean looking power head.
yeah, because the one that was in there was really purple. And I bought this one for the other tank, and I was like, well, I need to clean this other one up before it's acting stupid. So I just threw it in there, and I was gonna just take as soon as I got clean in. And I was like, I kind of like this one. It's too big. I mean, obviously it looks ridiculous. But I do like the flow of it is better. I have one of the larger hydrants that was in that location, and the flow on it kind of sucks. Like, I mean, it moves water, but like if you're not careful, it absolutely wrecks the sand in that corner. Like for whatever reason, like, and this one I can move this one down much farther, and it doesn't like disturb the sand nearly as bad.
Is that a 20?
What?
That
one's
power head, is that the Jabo SLW20?
It's a 30.
30.
Yeah, it's a fucking monster. Thing's huge. Look at the size of this fucking thing.
You probably got it dialed way down then, huh?
Yeah, it's on its lowest setting.
Yeah.
Because when I stuck it in there, it went to like full power, and like I thought like shit was gonna blow away. It stormed the tank because all the any detritus that was in around the Zoas, like that I haven't dealt with recently, it just blew all everywhere. I'm like, oh fuck. So yeah, I mean that one's in there for now, and then there's a little bitty Higer one, like one of the 10s or whatever back there. They're all right. I mean, they were cheap, so I can't really bitch. I've had them for years, and they've done fine, so I can't really bitch. It's kind of set up so that the it keeps everything flowing in a circle from down the front and then across the back, and then it kind of keeps it going like that. Seems to work okay. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So
The
like I
fish
said,
look happy.
yeah, I mean they're doing pretty good. If that one fucking clownfish right there doesn't quit trying to gnaw on a stick, I'm gonna smack him upside the head, I think, or something. He little bastard.
I've never
He
heard
was
of
like
him doing that. That is weird.
He was literally gnawing on it. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm picking at something. No, I'm gonna pick at it. No, he's like gnawing on it like a dog chews on a bone. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
My tomato clown would if I put a stick anywhere near it's an enemy, like before when they were really little, just a stick, he would like ram it like a fucking battering ram. And just try and knock it out. And he would break them in half and knock them over. And it took a long time for me to get something to stay because it just didn't want anything it didn't like by its area.
Yeah. I don't know. I've had other clowns over the years. Like, this is the first time that I've ever had. These are actually cinnamons.
Yeah, they're very similar to the tomato.
They look almost identical, but these are supposed to be cinnamons. But I've never had these. Act weird. They act a lot weird. They're a whole lot different than like maroons and like some of the other like the regular like Ocellaris or whatever. These act totally different. They have a whole different personality, it would seem, which I thought was kind of odd. But yeah, I mean those were the first fish that I put in when after the heat bomb, and they've been doing pretty good. So I was pretty timid about putting things back in the tank after it cooked like that because I didn't know. I mean, I test the water, do water changes, this, that, but you don't know what it has done to the bacteria colonies, like all of that stuff. I wasn't sure what the deal was with it. So I was real timid about putting things back in.
Do they spawn at all?
No, not that I've noticed. I think they're hungry right now because they're kind of acting like a bunch of jackasses.
Jordan's saying in the chat that he's got an Ocellaris female that grabs small frags and takes them out her way.
Really? Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, that you can actually see, I think, like, I don't know if you can see, but like the bottom of that stick is like, it doesn't look very good.
Yeah, that is.
They've been grabbing a hold of it. And the back side of the one in the middle, I don't know if you can't really see it from here, but like they will grab a hold of it and like yank on it and like gnaw on it. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Who told you you
The
can
only
eat
thing-
my cookies?
The only thing I can figure is I need to feed more often. Like I need to step
I
up
don't
to
think
like
it matters. I think they just want to
feeding.
move it. I think they don't like it
Well,
there.
Well, they're gonna have good fucking luck, buddy. There's a lot of super glue underneath of those fucking things. I'm telling you right
Yeah.
now, good luck.
Or just some prime some fish right there.
Well, that may be. Well, I mean, theoretically, I guess that the long term they will stay. They will end up staying in this tank. They'll move over to the other tank, but then they'll come back to this tank, and they don't mess with the softies or the LPS at all. They only mess with the sticks.
You never put an anemone in there for them?
No, I don't. I have a rock flower anemone in there. That's about it. That's as an enemy as you're getting with me. I don't like shit that moves around. No
Those
bubble
things-
tip for me. Fuck that.
Wait, the rock
I like-
nymphs don't eat fish?
Well, I had one of the rock flowers that was huge. Like there was two rock flowers in this tank at one point in time. The other one didn't make it through the heat bomb. But those clowns they never even went close to the rock flowers. They'd stay away. One of these at nighttime will go up and lay on top of the zoas, and the other one will lay in the pallies every night when the lights go out. I don't know. Kind of odd. But yeah, no bubble tips or anything like that for me. I don't like stuff that moves around the tank by itself other than fish.
Has anyone else ever heard of clowns attacking SPS corals like that? I mean,
My clown did.
okay,
Yep.
is that spawning behavior with yours, Jim?
Mine it was just territory. It
Just
did,
like Jim said.
when I would put it it was when I was initially stocking. So there was a change to the environment. It didn't like it being there. It would butt its nose up against it and it would swim as hard as it fucking could to knock it over. Its tail would start going like crazy. If I fucking wedged it in real good and it didn't move, it would like swim in place trying to knock that fucking thing over.
What in the hell?
That's funny.
I had to move my Dunkins because the clowns were just abusing them.
I had a big Dunkin' in here in this before everything cooked. And the one clown that I had back then would fuck with the Dunkin' all the time. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about the Dunkin', but it didn't hurt it, but it was always like running into it and like, like kind of, I don't know. It's, swim by and smack it with its tail and like Dunkin' would close up. And you're like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, fish are weird.
It's just another fucking thing to have to watch out for in the hobby. Now I'm thinking clowns.
Stupid fucking hobby. Stupid fucking hobby.
Stupid fucking hobby.
Is that like the joke though? Like experienced hobbyists fucking hate clownfish?
I mean, I don't know.
Because you
I'm
see
not
shit like this,
experienced,
where they
so-
act like dickheads towards other fish, and everyone's like, "Yeah, we're just not gonna get you anymore."
That's the number one complaint. Fish. Everyone comes in. It's my fish is being such a dick. It's drawing blood at my hand. It's pecking at my hand. It's biting me. It's always a clown.
Oh, it's domino damsels here. Absolute assholes.
Ooh.
You know, they're kind of that's kind of hard to say though, because they probably are the most sold fish.
Oh,
Oh, heck
absolutely.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Sorry. Shitting rocks.
I think that's kind of like labs are here. Like,
Yep. Labs are the same way here for sure.
there's so many that people are like, you know, it's a top 10 biting dog. And it's like, really? Like, no way.
That's why nobody ever talks about Dalmatians being assholes, because there's not very many of them. Dalmatians are fucking assholes.
They are assholes.
Yeah.
Yep. Complete assholes.
I totally agree with you. I've met a couple of fucking asshole Dalmatians.
Mhm.
I think you gotta hit up Jeff B and get some more Zoas in that tank.
Kiss my ass.
I'm not even being a smart ass though. I think you need
I don't want any more
Zoas.
fucking Zoas. I don't want any
Alrighty.
more fucking Zoas.
Just lean into it.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, you
if
see
I'm not
online,
careful
there's
right
some
now, Zoas will take over the entire fucking tank. I have to keep like pulling Zoas out of here. I had to pull Zoas out. You see the small, like the 3 heads of Rastas there? The other ones were about to take over. I had to yank a whole bunch of the orange Zoas out of there the other day because like they will take the fuck over like right now.
but a completely packed, nice variety Zoa garden under blue lights is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I love Zoas, and I would happily get rid of some of the orange ones because there's too many of those damn things. They used to be red. Now they've just turned orange, more of an orangish color now, and they grow like wildfire.
I've never kept a Zoa alive. Ever. Every single one is
Really?
dead. Yep.
Give them more light. That's what I'm going to tell you. Give them more light. I don't give a
Oh.
shit what anybody says about Zoas being low light. Kiss my ass. They'll take all the light.
Loads of light and 90 fucking degrees.
And they don't give a fuck. Zoa gives no fuck.
I lost all of mine in the big heat issue I had. Everything fucking died. Whole lot.
Yeah, when that happened, the only thing that I really wanted to stay alive was the damn Duncan, and that's what died. Like that was the first thing that dead was the damn Duncan. I'm like, really? And there's fucking Zoas. I'm like, well, maybe they'll make it. Yeah, they didn't even like discolor or like close up or anything. They were still just like normal. They just looked happy. I'm like, really?
I think anything with extremities, so SPS and branching things, and Duncan being branching as well, the heat actually penetrates right through the skeleton, deep into the structure of the creature entirely. Whereas with Zoas and things like that, they're plastered over the outside of a rock, and I assume the heat is then dissipated through the rock. Therefore, they've maybe got a slightly higher chance of survival. I'm maybe talking shit. Maybe a mind story.
That's a viable theory in my brain. I think you're probably right. I'll tell you what didn't die also in that tank. Those fucking fermented snails. Those little bastards will hold on through fucking anything too. That tank is full of fermented snails.
Bumble.
But you can't kill them. You can't kill them little bastards. So
I got
Sorry.
40 bumblebee snails, and I think I must be the only person that has to put my hand up and say they have annihilated my vermitid snail population.
I need to do that
Absolutely
then.
Annihilated them. Yeah, they will go after my other snails now, but they have done an incredible job. Every single crack in that rock of mine, in that reefer that I'm sitting next to right now, was packed with vermitids. There was no space in the rock because of vermitids, and now I can't see one single vermitid snail.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that because like there's a lot in there. I smashed a bunch last night before I did a water change. Because I just try to keep after it a little bit to keep them from getting any more dug in, but there's a lot in there, and a lot of places that I can't get to them.
Yeah, once they get a hold, it's pretty tricky.
Yeah, I mean they're all the small ones. They don't get real big, so that's cool. But
yeah, it's the wee ones.
it's still like
not the huge, big, chunky penis things.
I had one real big one in that 46 gallon one time, and it was enormous. But other than that, it's always been the small ones.
Yeah, I've never actually even come across one of the bigger ones. I've only ever seen the smaller ones.
Yeah.
So what you doing with your heater? Is it just one single heater running through a controller?
Yep, that's it. It's a 200-watt Higer on Higer's piece of crap controller. It does okay.
Yeah, I think you could fit a few more in there.
Yeah, well, I probably could, but I'm not going to.
That's what she said.
Because knowing my fucking luck, they will all stick on, and I'll cook everything again. Fuck that.
You've only got one rock of pallies there. You'd be fine.
Hey, I love my
You're
Pally
gonna-
rock.
Your next crash is going to be your heater going out and everything getting too cold. And then you're going to go to the opposite end of the spectrum and get fucking Dave number heaters.
Well, as long as I don't have any issues between now and the new tank being set up, I'll have some redundancy built into the new tank. Because I have another heater with an Inkbird to go in the sump, and then I have this heater and this controller. So I'll have a bit of redundancy there. And realistically, if at all possible, here in the next like 6 to 8 months, I'm gonna try to jump on the Hydros bandwagon.
Yeah, buddy.
But I just don't. It's a money thing. I don't have the money to get in, and if I'm gonna get into that, I want to be able to get all the way into it, not half-ass. So I'm just gonna try to do what I got to do between now and then that's the plan though. Because I'd like to have a little bit more control of things, especially remotely, being able to know that everything is okay. And I don't know, I like gadgets and stuff, so that's kind of right up my alley.
Yeah, I like the gadgetry of it. I like the monitoring aspect of it. I like to be able to see trends and how things change. One of the biggest things I find interesting is when I take 40, 50 frags out the tank and take them up to my LFS in Glasgow. It's so interesting to see all the difference in alkalinity and calcium and magnesium consumption based on what I've just taken out. It's really interesting. I enjoy it.
Yep. And I almost jumped on the Apex bandwagon a year ago, and I chose not to. And I'm glad that I didn't do that, because fuck Apex.
Yeah, I understand why you guys feel the way you do. I can't complain about mine. Mine have been absolutely great, and I've really enjoyed learning all about them.
And
I'm ready for a change, though.
I'm not, and I have no problem with Apex as a unit. As they're what they have there is not horrible. It's not bad, I don't think. But the corporate situation with that now, and then let's be honest here, some of the Apex fanboys have kind of soured me on it a little bit. Because there's some asshats using Apex, and they really are gung-ho Apex. Not you, Ron, but some others.
I totally understand what you're saying. Sometimes I hear people talking about Apex, and it's like, shut the fuck up.
Yes, exactly.
You've had multiple disasters because of your Apex, but you're still sucking its dick. I mean, shut up.
Jeb. Oh.
Scares me all those fires. Is it Neptune? Is it not Neptune? Is it user error? That's a lot of fires with people with Neptunes.
Yeah, totally agree.
Oh yeah.
It's a thing.
Well, I mean, but let's be honest here. That if you're a dumbass, you can fuck up some shit, no matter what you got. You can fuck it up. But yeah, I mean, that's one of those things though. It's the same way with like the golden retriever thing. There's so many more apexes than anything else. It's always going to be worse. There's always going to be more disasters for people using an apex as opposed to using like a GHL or a hydros or whatever it may be. Just because it's probably 2 to 1.
You're
I mean,
absolutely
I don't know what
right.
I don't know what the numbers are on that, but I'm sure it's got to be like 2 to 1. I mean, because Hydros is just really, in my opinion, is now starting to get a firm grip on, they've got a solid footing in the hobby now, but it's taken them a while to get there. And GHL, I mean, everybody that uses GHL loves it, but I don't know. It's like I don't know anybody that's going, I really want to use a GHL. I don't know anybody that's saying I really want to use that. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't really have them here. Nobody's using them, or certainly anybody that is using them isn't talking about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you really think about it, like there's only one or two people on social media that are using them in a capacity that like makes you take notice. I mean, Reef Bum is, and
yeah, he's using
Telegram
them.
is.
Is he using that and everything though? The GHL Mitras or something he keeps going on about.
I think he is. I mean, and Telegram's using some GHL stuff, but I mean that's he's always on the different stuff deal. That's his thing. That's where he lives, is in on the more obscure stuff, if you will, which is cool.
Yeah, I really like him. I'm a little bit hesitant to say in recordings that I like certain people on the internet because I'm quite often disappointed in a little while feel completely different. So I'm just going to leave that there.
I understand. I hate everybody.
Jordan's asking how many gallons your tank has, Jason.
26 is an oddball size because it's that bow front goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking hate bow front tanks. God, I hate bow front tanks.
How do you clean the glass?
Huh?
How do you clean the glass with a razor blade?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to go sideways.
No, you can go up and down with a regular razor blade. Like, I mean, but yeah, I normally go sideways. But yeah, I use a razor blade on it all the time. I have some piece of shit thing to slide back and forth over, and it works okay. But like, and you can't put like a mag float in there with like a blade on it and go up and down, or because it'll scratch it. I did that on the 46 by accident. You have to go sideways. Like if you want to use like a, one of the scrapers that like a mag float or whatever, you have to do that from side to side, not up and down, because the corners will scratch. But I just use a regular razor blade on it in my hand.
Judging from that back wall, I'm assuming you made it nice and pretty for us today, because that looks like that Coraline wants to take over everything.
I mean, I have to scrape the front glass at least once a week, because if you miss it for like 2 weeks, if I don't do it for 2 weeks, the Coraline will definitely be all over the front as well. So yeah, I mean, I stay on top of it pretty good with that, just because if you don't stay on top of it, it gets out of control like right now.
So you have such good Coraline growth, but it's not totally encrusting all of your rock.
And I don't understand. This is a question that I have had. I mean, there is some on there, but also some of it some purple that you may see on that rock is not actually Coraline. Those were purple rocks. I don't understand why it doesn't attach to the rocks like it does to everything else.
It's the clowns. They're fucking everything.
It might be. I mean, but like if you look, I mean, hell, there's Coraline growing on the heater. power heads, everything else is covered in coralline, but the rocks are not. I don't understand why. And coralline definitely grows. I mean, like gangbusters in there. Like it gets so thick in some spots, like when you touch it, it flakes off in big chunks. Like it's growing on top of each other, coralline on top of coralline.
Yeah, that's weird.
I get coralline on my overflow blocks, my snails, and that's it.
None in your
Oh yeah,
Dave.
No, and I got that same rock he does, that purple stuff. So
That's crazy.
yeah. It doesn't. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is some on the rocks, and I know what this rock looked like before, and that rock looked like before. I know where it is and where it's not. But some of it is purple rock, some of it is coralline. But you would think, based on the back glass, that it would just be absolutely every rock surface would be completely purple, and it's not. I don't know why. I mean, I went for the longest time though. I couldn't get coralline to grow at all. I mean, not even a little bit. Like it wouldn't, nothing at all.
So
and then I started dosing Alpha Reef. I started dosing Alpha Reef, and the coralline took off at the same time. And I was dosing like a half a ml of Alpha Reef a day, just enough to keep the alkalinity from fluctuating. And as soon as I did that, this whole tank turned around 180 degrees as soon as I started dosing Alpha Reef. I mean, it was instantaneous. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Especially in smaller systems. It's nice.
And you know that everybody asks lots of questions, especially guys that have bigger tanks and never used it before, and they're like, well, "What's the deal?" And I'm like, "I don't fucking know. It just works. I can't tell you why it works or why it's better than anything else, but for me, it has worked."
I think beyond making things stable, I think having those traces in there help. And then I think there's something to do with the carbon dosing. Not even necessarily lowering nutrients, but there's some component in there that the coral digging. I'm not sure if it's that.
Yeah.
Whatever's broken down that process they enjoy. I had that same experience. I had like a 20-gallon tank, and it just fucking. I could grow SPS in there, and I couldn't grow SPS in a 40 breeder I had. And they both had. You know, one was water changes to 40 breeder, and then the 20-gallon tank just had a little bit of Alpha Reef, but it took off.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't understand it, but I'm not bitching either. So I'm still not dosing a whole lot. I'm only dosing like 1.5 mLs a day of Alpha Reef.
1.5 mLs, and that locks things in, or is that just what you're putting in there?
No, that keeps everything keeps everything happy. Keeps calcium right where it's where it's supposed to be. Everything is when I do test. I don't test all the time, but when I do, I try to test once every week or every 2 weeks, and everything just is trucking along.
Nice.
I think Dave can only dose in 500 ml increments.
That's it.
How many cups is that?
Hey, we're reefers. We don't do cups. We adopt the real standard, the real universal standard. Unless you're Jim.
I laughed so fucking hard at the whole cups thing. I laughed so fucking hard at that. Oh, that was the best thing ever. I read all of that in your voices. I read Ron's part. I read it in his voice, and Jim's part. I read it in his voice. I was dying. I was fucking dying.
It's about 2 and a 16th cups, 500 milliliters.
The fuck? No.
Jim, I thought you were fucking with us when you were talking about baking your baking powder or baking soda to make it into soda ash. I thought he was fucking with us. I was like, is Jim pulling our leg right now? I can blow up my house with this recipe.
No, that's what I do.
Yeah, Melev talks about it. He's actually got a whole video on what he does and how long he bakes it for and all the rest of it. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good. That's pretty smart. It's a pretty good way to go about it.
It's cheap.
Definitely for a bigger system.
Fucking cheap.
No sense. What do you feed your tank and your fish, Jason?
Right now I'm feeding Hikari Marine S. As like that's pretty much most all the time. And then I make some frozen food. I have a whole shitload of frozen food in my freezer that I make myself, following the BRS guide for that,
And do you feed
which
your
is super
coils?
cheap. And then I've been feeding them some of the powdered reef chili from BRS that I've had that jar for fucking ever, but it doesn't take much because tiny tank. So but yeah, I just mix that in. Mix a little bit of the reef chili in with a cube of frozen food, and just broadcast it.
And do you
And
switch your back
I mean, seems to
filters
do
off
a.
when you do that?
I don't switch a damn thing off because remember I have to unplug things. Fuck that.
Okay.
I dump that shit in there and let her rip, tater chip. Fuck that.
Let her rip.
Ladder tater chip.
I've never heard that
Yeah.
before.
I've never heard that.
Well, I say that all the time.
Man.
Yeah, I don't turn shit off. Like once in a while, I'll hit feed mode on the power head. That's as good as it gets, though. Like it's when you got to unplug stuff, you're not messing with all that. Like I can't be bothered. I mean, it's not like the those hang on the back Jimmy Jammies are really turning over a lot of water, anyway.
What's in the
So-
one on the left?
The one
No,
on
the
the
right.
left, is it's got some filter floss, a bag full of biomedia, like some ceramic, what you call it or whatever, and some carbon and GFO mixed together in a bag. I used to run ChemiPure Elite, and I ran ChemiPure Elite in this tank for a long time. But that shit's expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
like it costs add up. So I was like, fuck that. And I just ordered some Kohler Labs, GFO and some carbon, and I just throw it in a bag and just throw it in there. I should have actually changed that yesterday, but I didn't feel like it.
So
Yeah,
you
that
have a
actually
bag of
makes-
GFO. You have a bag
I
of
have a-
GFO in there all the time.
I have a bag of carbon with a little bit of GFO mixed in with it that stays in there all the time. Well, like I said, I used to run ChemiPure Elite, which is, if you look at what is in ChemiPure Elite, it's carbon, GFO, and some of those they're like beads of some sort, like a resin that's supposed to suck up phosphates. And I figured, well, I can without the fucking beads. So that's what I throw. I throw that in that filter, and it's fine. There's also some what the fuck is that shit called? They're Chems something or another. It's basically like a biological media, like some ceramic or some shit in the bottom of the refugium.
Is it Matrix?
Is it Matrix? I used to have the fucking bottle sitting here because I don't throw anything away ever. But I don't know
It's
what
like
I did with it.
the rocky looking ones. It's Matrix.
Purigen.
Yeah,
or,
I think it's not pure. I don't think it was Purigen. I think it's Matrix is what it was. I threw some of that in the bottom of the refugium one. So, but that's it. There's not a whole lot to it. I've got a refugium light on a mechanical timer. It's a $20 light off of Amazon. If I don't clean it once a week, the inside of the refugium, the hair algae grows so thick in there that you can't actually see any light come through it.
Wait, time out. Hair algae in the refugium, not in the
Uh-huh.
display.
Huh.
How? No corn line
Magic.
on the rock.
A word of warning, though, if he does lay into you, it's best to just let him finish.
but that hair algae in there grows like a half-inch thick. Like it's not even like I don't know if I would call it hair algae. Maybe call it turf algae because it's like thick mats. Because all that, I'll show you. All this thing is a aqua clear 50 that I spray painted, and then you can see down in there. I left the back clear, so I didn't paint the rest of it, so I didn't get all the light spill. But you can see like where it grows. Like I cleaned it yesterday, but it's still like there's already starting to be algae there. Like it grows it crazy fast. Like once a week, I have to clean that out. Not only will the Kato be like pushing the lid off the top, but the hair algae will have like completely blocked all the light from coming through it. But I haven't had any hair algae in the display since I had bryopsis at the beginning of the year. And
what are your phosphates sitting at then, Jason, on average?
I don't fucking know. I haven't tested phosphates in like a month. I don't test a lot. I'm not that guy. I'm really I want to be, and I try to say that I am, but I mean, I test alkalinity usually once every week or so. Calcium once every week or so, and I only test nutrients usually if shit starts to look a little funky, because usually what happens is if I'm a little late on my water change, things start looking a little wonky. I do the water change and I'm like, well, we'll see how this goes. I do the water change and then everything's right back to normal. And I'm like, whatever, it's cool. I did have a problem with the high nutrients back a while ago, 8-9 months ago. And I think it was just because I was being too lazy and wasn't doing enough water changes. The weekly water change is key for me. I have to do it. If I don't do it, shit goes haywire. But other than that, it doesn't require a lot.
Fucking K. And when Santa squeezes his fat white ass down that chimney tonight, he's gonna find the jolliest bunch of assholes this side of the nut house.
I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but refugium absolutely makes sense to me. Growing algae away from your display makes sense to me. You can call me an algae farmer if you like. I don't care. But the thought process, it makes sense to me. So I'm going to continue doing that. When the new tank goes up, new sump, it's going to have a refugium in it because I think it works.
I think I might have to become an algae farmer.
Yep.
Because this is what our forefathers did.
Can't feel my leg.
Yeah, because I wouldn't worry about nutrient control as much as I would just want the algae to grow somewhere that wasn't unsightly.
Well, and I think you're getting both out of it in reality. I think there is something to be said for growing it elsewhere, and not necessarily in the display. Algae is a thing that we're always going to have it one way or another. If we can keep it away from the display, fantastic. But then there is some nutrient control there. There has to be some level of export there as well. I mean, I threw almost half of my Kato. I threw over half of the Kato that was in there away yesterday. I go from a tiny ball of Kato at the beginning of the week to a huge mass of it by the end of the week. You've got to be exporting some. I'm not saying that would control all of the nutrients. I'm just saying that it couldn't hurt.
We don't even really care about nutrient control anymore, right? In reef tanks, like that was like a thing of the past. Like now we kind of want things to be slightly elevated, and with normal maintenance, I don't think the average person is too worried about nutrient control. So I keep thinking it's more about like providing the space to like turbocharge that nuisance algae, so it favors that location versus another one. That's what sounds appealing to me. Because even with the Chaeto, I think if I was set one up, I don't even think I'll put Chaeto in there. Maybe like a bunch of egg crate and just let the bryopsis go crazy on the egg crate or something.
I mean, look at how much algae grows in Nakatomi Tower. I mean, Zach's got a shit ton of algae in there.
That's such a weird sentence. It makes perfect sense
It
to
makes
everybody
sense,
here.
yes.
But if anybody else was to watch this, look how much fucking algae there is in Nakatomi Tower.
Yes, absolutely.
We are the only human beings that will understand that.
I mean, but that's like proof in the pudding though. Look at how much grows in there. It's got to be doing something.
Yeah, it's working for you.
Yeah, I mean, I've had that refugium set up on there like that for. I actually had a bigger one for a while, but I broke it because I'm an idiot.
Like, what sounds more proactive? Setting up a refugium to grow problematic algae, or buying a shit ton of snails and whatever herbivore you can fit in your tiny tank and praying to the Coraline gods?
Well, see, that's the problem that I have. I have a tiny tank, so herbivores are almost non-existent. It's super fucking hard when you don't have it. If you have a big ass tank, you're like Jim. You got all this water volume. You can have 15 fucking tanks, all like swimming around in there. That's great. When you get 26 gallons, what tank do you what herbivore do you put in there? There aren't any. Not that are like really known for eating algae like that, that are keeping it under control. I mean, that fucking Blenny, he won't even eat nori. Like he's like, fuck you, I'm not eating that shit.
Yeah, he's
Give me meat.
plenty of acropora in there to eat.
Well, he does all in the acros also. Fucking asshole. They're a bunch of fucking dickheads. My fish are dickheads. He's a weak cunt.
I think Zach gave a thumb up. Zach, you better be wearing a cutoff t-shirt right now.
I'm pretty sure I saw him with a John McClane vest on. I might be wrong. I thought I got a glimpse. No, thumbs down. No.
No John McClane vest today? What the fuck?
I thought that's what I saw him wearing earlier. I don't know what that is. He's sending streamers now.
So yeah, the Blenny's an asshole. Clownfish are an asshole. The only thing that's not an asshole in there is the Grandma's okay. He's cool. He doesn't fuck around too much. But the other ones are assholes.
That's interesting because a lot of grandmas that I know are assholes.
The last one that I had before the heat bomb was a fucking dick. He was a complete fucking dick. This one, he's chill as shit. He is not. I mean, don't get over by his cave. Like if one of the other ones tries to if the blending tries to go up in his cave, he might, act a fool then. But that's about it. So I don't know.
Just about every LS in Scotland has a sump grandma.
Really?
Yeah, and they're huge.
Like, I mean, I love a grandma, but I had a 6-line RAS in here before the heat incident also, and he was chill as shit. But the 6-line that I had in the 46 gallon and the 6-line that my son had in his tank downstairs, complete fucking cockbags. Just bully the shit out of everything else. But the one I had in here, he was so mellow, just swam around doing his own thing.
They're gorgeous fish, but as they age, they turn into complete dickheads.
Yeah.
I love the look though, the sassy eyes, and they're like kind of, they look like a cross between a strawberry and a watermelon.
I think they're gorgeous. And the dorsal fin is like this really zigzag, jagged orange. Yeah, I think they're gorgeous.
Yep.
Shame they're assholes.
Assholes as far as the eye can see.
I dig your tank, man. I can't wait for this new one to come up. I'll be following along for sure.
I really hope the new one comes along quicker. I mean, But I was thinking the other day, if I would have known it was going to take me this long to get it going, I could have saved myself a shitload of money if I would have waited till Black Friday and ordered all this gear. Then I could have got nicer shit for the same amount of money. Who knew? I figured it would already be running by now, but just hasn't worked out. I'm so over
There's
that
always
piece of
going to
shit
be newer
truck.
gear. There's always newer and better gear.
Oh, that's true.
Look at Ron. Ron's having FOMO. He is all Neptune. Now he's like, wait, what's going on with Hydros? Let me see. Let me check that out. All the boys talking about Hydros. We got him, boys. We got him.
He just wants to be that guy. You know, everybody else over there, they can't get this shit. He's gonna be like, look what I got. Fuck all of y'all.
No. That would involve me having friends over here, Jason.
Aha.
There's none of them. There's none of them.
I understand that. Well, I understand that.
You guys are it for fish tank friends. This is it.
I understand. I'm in this. That's it. You guys are it.
Such a lonely day, and it's mine.
Does anybody have any other questions for Jason's system?
Oh, Jim, I promise when the new tank goes up, there will be no Coraline on the back glass. I wanted you to know that because I know how much you hate it. I know how much you hate it. The new system's going to have a blue background on the back, so no Coraline on the back glass on the next tank.
Trying to score brownie points to the gym with the blue background. I see you.
Well, you know, I want to do the Rich Ross like deal. I want to backlight it, so I'm going to do blue with a backlight. I think is the plan.
I love a blue background, but I think I would go no background next and then have kind of LED lights on the back of the cabinet facing up. That gives it really nice depth.
Yeah.
I think I'd build a shadow box with a dark blue background and make it look like it fades into the ocean.
Into the ocean.
That
was that video from that aquarium, wherever that aquarium was. Who posted that? Ron, did you post that the other day? That big ass aquarium.
Yeah, it was really interesting with the sharks and stuff in it, and they just
the way they did the lighting on that so that it looked like it was much deeper than it was. Yeah, that was sick.
Yeah, the sharks just swim like 2 or 3 meters away from the glass and they fucking disappear because the shade kind of like sails above the tank to stop the light. You know, really clever.
That was cool. Yeah.
Oh,
I like that.
Jordan is putting his hand up and sending a question mark, but Jordan, are you not able to talk? Is he maybe not able to talk? Oh, is he maybe just getting angry that nobody answered his question that he sent 25 minutes ago? Maybe that's what question. 200
what question
on a 26 gallon. Is it a heater, built-in thermostat, and a secondary controller like an Inkbird?
No, it's a non-controllable. The heater itself is non-controllable, and then it comes with the standalone controller. So it just plugs in. So I could plug in like a BRS titanium heater, or whatever, doesn't matter, or whatever. You can plug whatever into it. It's just like an Inkbird, except it's not an Inkbird. The controller. It's just some shit. But yeah, there's no thermostat or anything actually on the heater. It's just a titanium heater. That's it.
Yeah,
the hell did that say?
He's not replying.
Yeah.
He left because we didn't answer his question.
Is he having a wee strop? Is that what just happened there? Jordan, did you just have a wee fucking strop?
Who told you can eat my cookies?
Okay, he says he's here. And he's laughing his ass off.
What? I mean, is his voice broken or what?
He said, isn't that a lot of heater without redundancy on a 26 gallon?
Well, yeah.
Let's not answer. Don't answer. Don't answer.
No shit.
He doesn't get the No.
Like I don't fucking know that.
Good
duh.
question. Wow.
Oh, hold on. I think he's.
Yeah,
Just,
oh.
I think he's just decided to turn his mic on. Hold on.
Who is my daddy and what does he do?
Jordan, there's a bunch of Americans. We don't type. We can't read. We just talk.
Don't be ridiculous.
Moving on. Jordan, tough luck. Speak up.
Loser!
Right, he's gonna raise his hand again.
There it goes.
Fuck you guys.
Fantastic.
Okay, Jordan's at church. It's been confirmed.
The church is fuck. Well, if nobody else has any other questions, we'll wrap this up. I'll get the recording processed, and if anyone wants to jump into voice on Discord, I'll see you there. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Jason.
This has been awesome, and I am.
Thanks,
really,
guys.
I'm really excited for your next system. Oh,
Well, I appreciate it, guys.
Zach.
Thanks for not being too critical.
Is Zach just fucking with us? Yeah, he's just fucking with us. He's disappeared.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.